So picture the scene. It's late September and your favorite football game, FIFA 22, is about to drop. It's been a long year of throwing controllers at walls, buying new ones, and then throwing the next controller at a wall. You're still excited for the next one because you're 12. You want to come home from school, sit and play pro clubs with your mates, or build an ultimate team. And for that, you want to bring in your favourite players, only to realise Mo Salah's 67 overall. He isn't. I've just made that up for the purpose. But really and truly, FIFA 22's ratings make no sense. Yo guys, it is your favourite bucket-hatted boy near and here, and we are back once again. Now, the topic of today's video, if you've been around for a little while, this is not a new phenomenon. The bosses at EA over in Canada, they watch ice hockey. I'll keep it real. If there's not skates involved and people losing their teeth during fights that are not refereed whatsoever, then they don't want a part of it. It's lucky we even have referees in the game. Now, fans and avid players of the game have already had their say on some of the ratings for this year, and obviously in titles gone by. More often than not, some of the players aren't even too impressed either.
Lower. Yeah. Oh my good gosh, you ever disrespect.
I'll never forget Adrian complaining that he should have been higher than 74 when his maximum reality rating should have been -5. But honestly, some of them this year, some of them are taking the biscuit. I'm gonna run through some of them with you, but before we get into this one, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Over 685% of you are currently not subscribed. From time to time, I do actually make okay videos, and there'll actually be a decent amount of FIFA content coming. I've got quite a lot planned. Maybe some of the breaking FIFA stuff might return. You didn't hear it from me. But let's get into this. And for me, the absolute most offensive one has to be Mo Salah. I mentioned him in the intro. He's not quite 67 overall, but he has got a downgrade. Now, to an extent, I understand the logic that EA are using here. You know, Liverpool had a pretty dismal season for the majority of it before picking up right towards the end, but he still carried us through the majority of the season. It was everybody else that was falling over themselves, or, well, actually physically and injuring themselves. I think at least half the squad fell down the stairs. You just didn't hear about it because we were too embarrassed to tell everybody.
Are you not embarrassed?
This man almost won the Golden Boot again. And you know what it is that's the most offensive thing about this? It's that Sadio Mane is the same overall. I love Sadio as much as the next guy, okay? He's a sweet, wholesome man. But last season, he was absolutely shocking. I will keep it real with you. He just gets so much disrespect as well, and I don't understand it. Like, he could genuinely have 9 Premier League Golden Boots, and he'd still be 83 overall on FIFA 31. Sadio scored 16 goals in all competitions, whilst Mo scored 31. Sadio had worse finishing than a new man subscriber. And just quickly, whilst we're on the topic of Liverpool, Van Dijk's downgrade seems a little bit harsh to me. I'm just never a big fan of a player getting downgraded when they haven't really played any football the season before, but they made him quicker. The man had 0 knees for at least 6 months of last season. How have you given him more pace? Next up, though, we arrive at Manchester United, and this has been getting a lot of attention. Mason Greenwood. This kid is only 78 overall, and fucking hell. I mean, are we really surprised? The guy looked like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle for the entire game cycle last year. Now, he's been great this season. I think he's got 3 goals in 5 at the point of recording or something. Like, he's had a good start to this season, but the ratings aren't based on this season. They're based on the season we had prior, and he was a bit slow at the start, but he came into his own towards the end. He has a goal contribution for every 2 to 2.5 games in the Premier League last year, which for a young winger is not bad. But Bukayo Saka's better than him. And I don't have a problem with Bukayo Saka being the same as him, because I think Saka was unreal at a pretty poor Arsenal side last year. But if Saka's 80, then Greenwood has to be 80 as well for me. I mean, hopefully for Bukayo, he hasn't had too much of a downgrade in his penalty stats. That was harsh, I'm sorry. Realistically, though, this is what Arsenal's ratings should actually look like. If I don't see Pablo Mari as a bronze card after being spun into a cyclone by Lukaku, then I'm buying Pez instead. It's not even called Pez anymore. They're footballing finished. Staying on the United team, and we've got Bruno Fernandes, who is lesser rated than Sadio Mane. Like, I'm sorry that I keep coming back to Sadio, but Bruno Fernandes had 45 goal contributions in all competitions last year. Are we basing this off last season, or are we basing it historically? I don't mind basing like a 10% edge on historic, right? Like, Bruno Fernandes has only done this for 1 full season. In comparison to a Mo Salah, who's done it for like 4 now, I'd give Salah a higher rating just off base based off a little bit of longevity. But if Bruno does this again for a second season, then calm. Let them both be 90. But when someone has been so much better than another footballer that you're giving a higher rating, how are you not at least having them the same? Like, it's criminal. Maybe they just don't rate penalties. I don't know. And then there's Jadon Sancho, who for me is a little bit too high. I don't, look, I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, if you asked Gareth Southgate what his rating should be, it would be about 63. Attribute for shagging the manager's daughter, 99. According to Foothead, he's got 6-star skill moves, so anything's possible, really. 36 goal contributions in 38 is pretty impressive. I'm not even gonna lie. That's a very, very good output. But when Haaland's 88, Sancho being 87, I don't feel like Sancho's that close in terms of his overall game to Haaland as one overall. I'd maybe make him 86. If 85.5 existed, I'd give him that. But that's me being nitpicky, okay? That's only like 1 to 2 overall difference. Gonzalo Higuain's still in the 80s. He's in the 80s in terms of age demographic. This man gets a free bus pass, free cereal at the shops, and a free TV license. And then there's Chelsea. These lot won the Champions League last season, and they look like Van Gaal era Man U on FIFA. Obviously, there's the standouts of Kante being at 90, which is calm, and Lukaku being at 88, which is fine. Not that he would have been 88 if he'd stayed at Inter, because there's definitely Premier League bias on FIFA. But it's just, like, it's foolish. Like, Reece James only being 81, for me, is really hard. Ben Chilwell being 82. Who? Rudiger, I think, should be better, and his pace at 75. Don't. This man bursts into midfield like prime Justin Gatlin, but hopefully without the performance-enhancing drugs. He's faster than at least 50% of family saloon cars. In fact, let's have a little game show, shall we? What's Antonio Rudiger faster than? Not sure if that's going to catch on, to be honest with you. The internet in 47 US states. This Vauxhall Zafira. Liam Viz's brain capacity. It's not that hard, but I don't even know how they calculate pace on this game. Like, it actually, like, it doesn't. What tests are they even doing? Andreas Christensen hit a top speed quicker than Mbappe and Kyle Walker during the Euros, and his pace is 65. Like, Edouard Mendy being 83 is probably a little bit harsh when you just look at him as his first season in a big league. But if we're comparing him to De Gea, who's 84, and Lloris, who's like 85 still, are you mental? How is Mendy worse off the balance of last season than De Gea and Lloris? Elsewhere in the league, and I think Harry Maguire and Jordan Henderson only being 84 is pretty harsh. Like, Jordan Henderson did pretty much nothing last season that for me would warrant him getting a downgrade or being that low. Half the time he was playing in a different position that he's never played in before. And Harry Maguire was putting up some of the best numbers of any centre-back in the Premier League, and he's only 84. They released the best under-21s for the year, and Pedri is 81, which doesn't sound bad until you compare him to Ferran Torres, who's better at 82. I'm not saying Ferran Torres isn't a baller. Pedri played about 100 games last season. He pocketed an entire Italian midfield that won the Euros, the likes of Barella, Verratti, Jorginho, in a Euros semi-final aged 18. I don't get it, man. And on the theme of Man City as well, Phil Foden, 84, seems a little extreme. I know he's a good player and he had good output. I'd have personally made him the same rating as Mason Mount. Mason Mount's 83. And Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish did, let's not beat around the bush. Jack Grealish was better than Phil Foden last year. So how are they both 84? Honestly, Grealish could be like 85, 86. But on the flip side, there are some actual good upgrades and some good ratings for this year. Finally, seeing the likes of Wilfred Ndidi and Kasper Schmeichel get the credit they deserve at 85 is good to see. For ages, I thought Kasper Schmeichel was probably like the most underrated goalkeeper in world football. His reflexes are insane, and then as for Ndidi, he's probably top 3 DMs in the country. Nicolo Barella has got a big upgrade. I mean, his card last year was criminal, only being 80. I still think it could be higher, given he got like midfielder of the year in Italy last year, but 84 is definitely better than 80. Newhouse in Germany's been underrated for the longest time. At least he's got a good 82 now. And people like Thomas Souček, who are good, but maybe you wouldn't know they were that good if you weren't watching the Premier League. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, though, down in the comments section below. What is the worst rating on FIFA in your opinion this year? If you enjoyed this video, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. As I said, there'll be plenty of FIFA content content coming on the channel. It'll be more like these sort of one-off videos or breaking the game, the experiments, all that wacky stuff from back in the day. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it has been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.